Hello and welcome to Space Engineers. This episode is also the 5,000 subscriber video. It was also intended to be the 2,500 subscriber video. Of course, since there isn't one, it obviously didn't make it. And again, it almost didn't make it for the 5,000 subscriber video. Technically, it's still a little bit late. But I wanted to release something for you guys, and it is definitely something. I'm hoping those of you who watch my Terratech series will also be interested in Space Engineers, but I really can't make any kind of assumption on that. But anyway, something I want to mention is I have a pre-recording for the 2,500 subscribers. 2,500 subscribers bit that I already spoke about on a camera thing. So I'm going to go ahead and play that here, and then I'll be right back to talk about why this wasn't released sooner and why the other thing that I had intended to do isn't presently done yet. Okay, passing to past me. Hello and welcome to my 2,500 subscriber specialty episode today. And also to the final completion of a project I set about a long time ago, but long before I started really getting a lot of subscribers. Project Modular. If you even looked at some of the old material, you'd see that this was amongst the things that I've put back there in the past. And it's not much to look at the moment, but the entire idea was to make extremely functional, well, modules. This game is Space Engineers, for those who haven't seen it. These are made up of several blocks apiece. Obviously, a single block is like... that's like a single block right there. So they're made up of lots of blocks individually. And over time I've had to update and alter these modules and improve them and do things with them, and it's been a long road to get them to where they are now. But they're finally ready for release. They're finally ready to be released. But before I do so, I wanted to do something very special with all of these parts. I wanted to make a demonstration vehicle utilizing every single last one of them, and make a massive, awesome spacecraft. And that's what this episode's going to be primarily about, is that process of building that super massive vehicle that I will be using all these modules in. But before I get started, I just wanted to take a moment and highlight some of the complexities that some of these these modules actually have. Some of my favorite ones, at least. I want to just highlight some of these because of how much time I've put into them and how extreme some of them really are. So I'm grabbing about a few of these just to show off this kind of detail. One last one here. Okay. So just to show you the kind of complexity I've put into every single one of these vehicles. Let's just start with the airlock. All right? Right now, the airlock, as it appears right now, has a connector to allow resources to flow between this ship, whatever it would be attached to, and another vessel upon docking. And it has only got merge blocks on the docking as well as the connector itself, so you can easily disconnect with another ship, connect and disconnect with another ship easily. That is designed with this kind of idea in mind for this creative of orientation. There is a sensor here that, upon walking in here, will turn on a light. Now that seems very simple at first. It's like, oh, well, great, sure, it turns on a light, who cares? Well, every single one of these modules does that. Every single one of these modules will turn on a light if you walk inside. This, because it doesn't actually have the light on in the meantime, it means you'll save loads of frame rate. Because lights in this game cause a lot of lag, so you walk right in, everything lights up for you. You don't have to worry about pushing any buttons or messing around or walking around in the dark with having to use your headlamps. It lights up every individual room. And each room has its own custom coloring as well. Most of the basic rooms have like my preference of LCD blue, like the airlock here. But some other ones, like, say, yeah, this one here, has a very warm industrial orange. Looks great, doesn't it? Admittedly, all these rooms are gray, but given that they're all intended to be interior components, with the exception of, say, the airlocks, the hangar bays, and maybe some of the hallways, most of that is not that big a deal to really worry about, I think. Because the way the process goes, which you will see when I get around to it, I'll explain it in more detail as we get along to that. But I wanted to show you, like, just something very simple. There's like 4 timer blocks in this airlock system alone. Just for viewing's sake. There's one there, one in the other corner, and the other corner, and that corner. 4 different timer blocks. I tried to compress it into fewer combinations, but it's like, this seemed to function the most readily and easily. So this would be exterior, effectively, to any kind of station or whatever's going on. And you just fly in or travel in here, and then once you're inside, you click pressurize, it automatically closes the door, begins pressurizing the room, and then opens the door to the next, into the ship, or the station, or whatever this is attached to. There's also buttons on the outside of each of these points to cause this automatically cause it to depressurize or pressurize as appropriately. So that one would close, and then this door would open. And if I'm on the other side and I hit over here, it'll close the other side. On the other side, I know the door's kind of slightly ajar. It's just a visual thing. And it'll open this door after properly associating the pressure for the room. And it basically will save your oxygen supply automatically without any playing around required. So you're saving frames with the interior lights that look really cool. You're saving your oxygen from being exhausted into space, and it also is fairly compact, as much as I can really get it easily, while also combining all the features. And that's just an airlock. That is just an airlock. Take a look at this hangar. Just for a moment, take a look at this hangar structure. This is supposed to be just, you stick it in there and you've got a hangar. This one, I can like hit the depressurized key here. And each of these is their own individual airlock, because I wanted 4 separate airlocks. I don't know. Just wanted to do that. And all the airlock components are associated where you would expect it to be on the same airlock. And this opens up and... oh, I already closed that manually. Pressurize. Was it? No. That's going to open. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to depressurize, because that'll open this one. The reason why this depressurized is because this hangar is not pressurized. There is a version of the hangar that does pressurize normally, so that is covered. This one was just the more natural one that uses like a blast door and a rotor system. Because that's what that's how it used to work, and I still kind of like that system in some regards because it has some functionality. Now, while this is meant to be somewhat placed on the interior of the ship, this part here you can see is like exposed. You would basically plate over this with some heavy armor or whatever the shell of the ship would be to some degree, while not covering up the actual door to get inside. There's a connector installed. There's all the airlocks on all these things. There's an access panel here, a little DVD device there that you could have lifting off resources or whatever you might need to handle. There's all the interior lights, and there's even some little feature bits here. So I do use a few mods, but mostly I've kept it as very simple as I could possibly manage it, just because I wanted to try and minimize the amount of mods I used, while also making any spaceships I build with these components as robust as possible. So that is a slight flaw with the mod requirement, but if I didn't have the mods, I really wouldn't have a number of these component rooms. Like just simple let's just grab one of these for example. This one. Very simple equivalent. Just open this up, and inside is some crew quarters. There's no beds in the base game right now, as of this episode and release and stuff. So this room would not exist if I didn't have the mod. So yeah, that's basically the reasoning behind any mods that I build. It's just to give some meaning to certain rooms being put in and being designed and stuff. And this simple hangar here took, you wouldn't believe the amount of effort I had to go through to just customize each of these stinking things here. I don't know what the heck I should have done to make it easier on myself, but oh dear. Oh, also, every single one of these modules has a like defining name style here, and then a dash, and then whatever artifact is, whatever parts are in it. And then it also has like certain parts hidden that you can show hidden blocks on, depending on what you need. It's really fancy in that regard, so you can immediately identify different parts of your ship or station really quickly, like, oh, this is part of the hangar, this is part of the medical bay, or whatever. And I'm going to have to do some more editing on the side, but yeah. I'm still cleaning up some of my edits here and there that I've made and didn't quite adjust all the names for. So I'll fix it, okay? I'll fix it. I'll have to go over every single one of them, make sure that's done. But anyway, that's just... Oh, also, every single one of these, aside from maybe the specifically like that one hangar, the interior of it, and maybe some other, I guess the airlocks, really? Yeah, every other single one of these has oxygen hookups and link-ups like this right here. They all have oxygen tanks, fully loaded with oxygen. They all have some... If they have like an accessible storage in their system, they don't have access to the conveyors prevent anything but the oxygen from going in that in those areas. It's more of just a preference of mine because I wanted to separate the oxygen system from the interior components. You could ignore that if you like. I mean, any of these you could make adjustments to for whatever ships you build out of them. But anyway, I want to show off like this room here. All these thrusters, they're currently off naturally because, well, they're designed to be this. I call it the arc plasma design. It just looks cool, doesn't it? It's like these thrusters are just like forming like these plasma pillars. There's like, what do you imagine? Like you're refining ore in this factory, and there's all these machines running and everything, and then this is like, right? It's more of like an aesthetic quality for these thrusters. They don't really serve any other purpose, but that just looks cool. You have to admit that just looks cool. That's another thing. Every single one of these has been designed with like vents installed in all of them as well. They all have their own air venting system here. The vents where the air comes in into each of the modules. The only exceptions are like, for example, were basically the airlock and the hangar, which basically are in a way their own airlocks. So those were the only exceptions, because they weren't supposed to be hooked up to a venting system. And having this means that when these parts are hooked together with other modules and stuff, you can easily create like passageways between modules for all the vents and the vent ductwork and stuff. I'm planning on adding one more mod to the collection that allows you to, well, I think it'd be more just a personal thing, really, for me. But it would be like I'll put hatches in the vent works, and maybe do some designing where I figure out how the best positioning for some of those vent work systems work, and place basically some lock-off points so that when if the ship is damaged, it will automatically seal areas that have lost their oxygen off, and then as the oxygen is restored, it will open them back up again to all areas. And I think that would be a really nifty and useful method to just handling some of the cool stuff that you can do. Oh, one more thing before I actually close this off here. I want to show you something else that I don't have ownership of it right now, and that's partially why it's not activating at the moment, because it only activates in case if you actually own the item. Yes. Watch this. I didn't do anything, it just opens on its own. Automatic doors. For everything that is not an airlock, automatic doors are enabled. Very simply. For every single door. In, like, every one of these modules. Just like the automatic lights, you got automatic doors. You walk in, you walk out. It just... It's something simple, but it really kind of reminds me of, like, Star Trek stuff, you know? And then the lighting system, that reminds me of, like, like, my particular memory is, like, when it was used for Jim Raynor's ship, the Hyperion, on StarCraft 2. He walks into this hallway, and it's all dark, and then it lights up gradually, and it's just like... And there's just lights everywhere, and but then halfway through, you know, cinematic scene. It's just... I really went all out trying to make all these different modules just to present as much possibility for creative design. And I plan on building one massive vessel just to sort of showcase that possibility coming up real soon here. I just wanted to show off one more thing. When I was designing some of these vessels, I just wanted to make them look just cool. Like, this is completely pointless, but it looks cool. It's like some kind of weird vacuum tube thing with a piston going up and down, like pumping fuel into systems. And then there's like these rotary dials releasing hot air or something via the venting and other fancy stuff. I just made this stuff, and it just looks cool. I mean, what are you supposed to say about that? It's just something that it's meant to be immersive and unique and interesting, and every single room has its like own lighting. And while the interiors are all like gray colors, the lighting helps to offset that a great deal. And that was kind of the intention. I wanted custom lights because the lights are more fascinating than just simply colored plain walls. I mean, I've got like all kinds of modules here. We got medical units, kitchens and mess halls and showers, prison cells, brigs, and crew quarters. We've got life support, an interior bridge system, storage, bathrooms, janitor closets, reactors and batteries, and cryo tube. I had to rebuild this cryo tube center multiple times, but I think it's pretty good. Now, it's not the best, but it looks good. Basically, these metal bars here, I considered like them being basically you'd climb up on them in order to get into your ship. And also, the gravity in here is at 0.25 to enable people to go like, okay, I'm going to just jump up and pull myself up easily, utilizing the low gravity in here. So I actually customized the gravity in some cases. Oh, yeah, well, not in some cases. All of these have customized gravity, localized gravity for every single module. That's another thing every single one of these has, is localized gravity specifically for that module. So this module here, it's completely encapsulated with its own gravity system based in the bottom of every single one of these modules. It's just their own gravity, their own power. They all have their own interior batteries installed, though some of them, like the cryo center here, has like an excess of batteries in order to support systems more beyond their actual capacity to support other of these component systems. They all have their own batteries to power them. They all have their own oxygen. They all have their own gravity. They all have auto doors and auto lighting. There's every single type of module you can consider, just right down to like, oh hey, look, there's a hydroponics. I've gone like crazy overdrive with some of these things that I've worked out and built, and it's small right now, but at the same time, this is just the beginning. This is an idea I wanted to share and present, and I wanted to also ask for suggestions. If you've got like ideas for new modules, or if you'd like to see more variations of these modules, like say, there's like 3 basic medical bays here. There's a tiny one, a medium one, and a large one. That's just all I've got at the moment, but I could make, say, an elongated version of this, of a med bay, and do something different with its design. I could make it more unique and less just like a simple room. I could add mods to incorporate and improve on the designs, on basically setting things up. The general idea was that these modules are there to shave off time spent building rooms into your ship, and it also allows you to design a ship not from the outside in as much as more from the inside out. You build a skeleton of the ship, and you attach these modules on, then you hook them all together, and then you put a shell on that. Or you can do it in different orders in some cases as well. That's a simple rundown at the moment of the idea, but it allows something that I think allows some very high quality vessels to be built that are really, really hard to take out. Because, like, every single component in the stinking spaceship has its own batteries, has its own oxygen system, has its own, like, localized gravity, so if you manage to bust up the gravity in, like, one module, all the other modules are still just fine. They also all have automatic doors that don't open for enemies, automatic lights to save on frames. I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry. I've gone above and beyond for all of these modules, and I can't wait to really see what you guys have to say about it, and what you might want to see done with it in the near future, because now that I have this, now that I have this, I can build all new wonders. I've even made a little list over here, just for basic, yeah. I still have a few things that I want to make, but I think it's basically done as it is enough that I can release it. And I do intend to make one super duper mega ship that just uses every single part in this collection. Except, well, maybe not, at least one from every category. At least. Probably more than one, but that's kind of the idea. Just, I've written whole logs here of like things that I can add to the interiors and to the exteriors that aren't included to these particular functions. I could go over that, but I even have like some other custom lighting considerations I came up with in the event that I ever actually wanted to use alternate lights for other purposes. They all have their own custom name that I gave them just to differentiate them. And then what's coming with this stuff, what I'm going to release this pack with, and what I'm going to continue into right now, it's going to be mostly just a fast build, because this is going to take hours. This is going to take some time. Even with the assistance of all these modules, it's still going to take some time to set up and build. But I'm going to release with this pack its own starship, fully equipped and ready to go. Let's get started. Hello. Okay, so, yeah. I was about to build some great big project out of all these parts that I had shown off in the prior clip. About a 30-minute clip, actually. So, basically a whole video to itself, almost. Just zoom over here a little bit. So, I was working on this project for a while, and I decided to make a wireframe skeleton like I had intended, and I was like, you know what, this will be a really cool possibility to expand upon the design. Do some other kinds of fun stuff with. I mean, look at this crazy thing. Doesn't that look kind of neat? Be a cool shape for a spaceship of some sort. Well, it was a lot more difficult to fit in modules into the design. Yeah. I've been trying really hard to put it together. And there's a lot of difficulty that I was not really used to trying out with trying to put this together. And I'm not entirely certain that the idea behind my modules is actually as legitimate as I had intended it to be. It's like easy or whatever. It's actually a very challenging effort. Because not only a lot of these parts that are just hanging around here are parts that I have yet to add to the vehicle itself. And I'm trying to make sure it's nice and compact with all these parts and hallways and such. I mean, these parts here aren't even attached yet. This is like 3 of those cryo bays, and there's the what was this? Oh, this is the brig. That's the brig structure. The prisoner stuff, and I didn't have a simple L bend to put in here because I had intended to connect these 2 sections up right here. So I had to go make an L bend because I didn't have one. That's what this is over here. It's not entirely done yet. I still need to fix that up, but yeah, I've been working on this project and its constituary since long before my channel even had a significant subscriber base. Like, I was down like in the 50 or less region when I started working on the project Modular over there. And I always wanted to build a spaceship out of the modules for the final release. Though, building one, I've realized it is a lot harder than I had anticipated, and doesn't work quite as easily if you're building it based on the wireframe and trying to keep it within that frame. It doesn't fit as easily. And it makes it difficult to put this thing together. And I've also realized that when I go to put these modules in, I really kind of want to also go into each of these little bays and then put like a simple number like that on all of them, so I can differentiate between duplicates of certain modules. So over here, let's just go over to these 2 modules here. They're exact duplicate modules of each other. It's like they're both the bathroom. And actually, there's another one already on the ship that I put down there. They're both bathrooms, and then there's another bathroom. And all of them, I had to go through each of their modules and put in that little number on there. So that kind of thing for every single module that has duplicates of it, like all the hallways and like the reactor and all the other subsystems, that takes a while. That takes a lot of time, actually. I mean, it's all prefabbed, and you don't have to do any naming or setting up all the subsystems and all the localized gravity for all the parts and everything. It's all set up, but at the same time, the whole process is quite difficult, actually, outside of that. Because all the modules, they add their own challenge to the process. And so I'm starting to understand why typically using less gravity generators or less other components throughout the entirety of a spaceship, and maybe even making hallways a little bit more all connected together for one big area, is often a maybe preferable situation. So yeah, building out of the modules is actually kind of difficult. But on the flip side, if you want a really complex ship with all the features that I've been putting into these modules, this is probably still way faster and way easier to do than actually building each individual module or each individual part and into an existing design. And admittedly, I did set forth to build a rather big ship, to be honest, with lots of components to be installed. I mean, yeah. So this project is not done yet. Project Modular is done, basically. The actual release is now available, in the description you can find the Project Modular available for download, and I will probably have the L junction finished and released with it in that collection of hallways up there. But I still need to make a T-junction, I need to make other parts, and I still wanted to finish this project, and I'm guessing I'm going to just leave it in. So if people want to actually maybe mess with it themselves, they can go right ahead and do so. But I'll be updating and making my own variation of this overall project over time, and try and finish it, hopefully sometime soon, but it's taking a long time. And I honestly, it probably would be done by now if I were just a little bit less lazy. And also a little bit less busy with all the things that keep popping up. Because there's a lot of stuff that has been happening. So in part, I get lazy because there's so much stuff happening that I'm just like, I need to take a break. So the whole process of building this thing has been taking forever and an age to get done. And I'm sorry it's not complete as is, but so far I think it's coming along very nicely. So if you want to see this project completed, or even for that matter see other Space Engineers content in the future, just let me know, because I'm thinking of doing some Space Engineer stuff. A little bit more interesting, I don't know, maybe. A little bit different from what I'm doing here for Project Modular, because I do plan on building like an elaborate bunch of different stuff, basically. But I guess it's up to whether anyone actually wants to watch it. Because if nobody wants to watch it, then it's like, if you're curious, I put this glass here just so when I'm up next to the thing, it doesn't have that giant yellow box in front of it, because that drives me nuts. Because if you go like here, there's the yellow box, and that bugs me. So I put the glass there to prevent that. Just random comment. Anyway, yeah. I'm still assembling this spaceship, but it's taking a long time, and once it is done, that will be indeed released as well. As I make progress with the modules and the starship, I'll be updating the workshop link in the description below, and the finished version will be hopefully pretty good, because I wanted to make one cool design and then also run through the process of its construction in like a speed build mode kind of thing. I'm even using this drone up here as a sort of like a picture taker, just to show like the process as I convert it from build the wireframe, then build add in all the modules, and then proceed to start shaping the body of it, and then going through and adding all the fancy add-ons on the exterior and maybe some of the interior. There's lots of potential there for cool things, but so far the project is not done yet. I mean, this Starship project is not done yet. I keep saying the project, but it's really two different projects that I kind of lumped together, and I really shouldn't have. I should have just like, okay, Project Modular is done, let's release it. But I didn't. And that's basically what this episode, the 5K, 2.5K subscriber video thing. This is going to be basically my 2.5K, even though it's late, because it was supposed to be the 2.5K, but it didn't make it. So it's the 5K. It's basically, the reward is reward? Basically, this is what I'm releasing for my 5K subscribers. This pile of modular components that you can build starships out of, or the interiors of starships out of. I plan on making something a little bit less complex than this is, utilizing the parts as well, just so it can demonstrate it a little bit, so it doesn't show off as being so slow as it has been so far. Because if I can just make something simple, it'll probably prove my point a little bit better than this did. So, yeah, that's it for this episode, guys. I hope you enjoy, and if you want to use the modules, this is what I've released. I hope you can make something cool out of it. And if you show off something on like a video or send me a picture, I might go ahead and show off some of the stuff that is made using the modules. Because, you know, I would like to see some people making stuff with this to show me that they actually like what I crafted for them to craft things with. It's like components to make starships of awesome variety kind of stuff. And if you want to suggest new modules or components, as I think I've already mentioned, but I'd like to mention again, if you want to see new modules built, or you'd like to submit modules for addition to this pack of modules, feel free to let me know, and I'll consider your module and maybe run over it a little bit myself to make sure it's well, that it fits into this collection. And I'll go ahead and put that in, because I am looking for show style, just for the view rooms that don't actually do much. They're just there. They're like hallways, but more grandeur in their appearance. Or in a way, they might be like a hangar, for example. Just open this door real quick. Yeah, because look at this hangar. The piping here, that's all for show. This bit here isn't likely to be used that much. Well, actually, maybe it might be. It's just, this room is not very big, but it does look kind of, you know, hangar-y. These parts here don't do anything. They're just there for show. But that kind of thing that makes it just for show is also something that is kind of cool for designs. So if I got a bunch of show-style rooms suggested and submitted and stuff, then maybe I can put that into the pack into this pack of modules. I'm also planning on going through all the modules and making them into blocky versions as well. Making a version where all these little edges I have on these is all just solid blocks like this. That way it'll be a little bit better on triangles, I think, in the future for certain designs, because that might help with them. That might help with it. That might help with the frames. But that's another separate little project I'll have to do on the side in the future. But in the meantime, that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed, and I'm sorry this project wasn't done in time for the 5K. Maybe I'll get it done in time for the 10K. I really hope I do, but I don't know about that. I really don't know about that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I'll be recording. Slenvo out.